Ever been at a party, a networking event, or even just in line for coffee, and your mind goes completely blank? You see someone you want to talk to, but the words just won't come out. It feels like there's this invisible wall, right? What if I told you that you can tear down that wall, brick by brick, and have a genuinely great conversation with literally anyone? It's not a superpower reserved for the ultra-charismatic. It's a skill, and today, I'm going to break down the exact practical steps to master it. By the end of this video, you will have a toolkit of techniques that will make you feel confident and ready to connect with people in any situation. Let's get into it. The first and most crucial step is to shift your mindset. Most of us go into conversations worried about what we're going to say, how we'll sound, or if we'll be interesting enough. We're so focused on ourselves. The secret is to flip that around. Your new mission is to be interested, not interesting. It's about curiosity. Instead of thinking, "What can I say to impress them?" think, "What can I learn about this person?" This simple change takes all the pressure off you. You're no longer performing. You're exploring. Imagine you're a detective, and your job is to uncover the cool, unique story that every single person has. When you approach someone with genuine curiosity, they feel it. It makes them feel valued, and it naturally opens them up. This isn't about faking it. You have to truly want to know more about them. Now, let's talk about the opener. This is where most people freeze. We overthink it, searching for the perfect, witty line. But the best openers are usually the simplest and most observant. They're based on your shared context. Let's say you're at a conference. Instead of a generic "Hi, how are you?" you could say, "Wow, that last speaker had some really surprising ideas about AI. What was your biggest takeaway?" Or, "I've been trying to decide which session to go to next, the one on marketing or the one on sales. Have you got any recommendations?" See? You're starting a conversation based on something you're both experiencing. Here's another example. You're in a bookstore, and you see someone looking at a book by an author you love. You could say, "Oh, that's a fantastic author. Have you read their other book, The Midnight River?" Or if you are in line at a coffee shop and notice someone has a really cool dog-themed tote bag, you could say, "I love your bag. I'm a huge dog person. Do you have one?" The key is to notice something specific, genuine, and external. It could be the event, the location, something they're wearing, or something they're doing. It's a low-pressure way to start because it's not about them personally, it's about the shared environment. This makes it feel natural and not like a forced pickup line. Okay, so you've broken the ice. Now what? How do you keep the conversation from dying a slow, awkward death? This is where the art of the follow-up question comes in. The goal is to ask open-ended questions. These are questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. They typically start with who, what, when, where, why, or how. For example, instead of asking, "Do you like your job?" which can lead to a dead-end yes, ask, "What's the most interesting part of your job?" Or, "How did you get into that line of work?" This invites a story, not just a fact. Let's walk through a real-life scenario. You've just used your opener at that conference. You asked, "What was your biggest takeaway from that speaker?" They answer, "I really liked the part about using video for marketing." A closed-ended response would be, "Oh, cool, end of conversation." An open-ended follow-up would be, "That's interesting. What about video marketing do you find most effective in your industry?" Or, "How have you started incorporating video in your own work?" These questions dig deeper. They show you're listening and you're genuinely interested in their perspective. You're peeling back the layers. Another powerful technique to keep the conversation flowing is using statement-question combos. Instead of just asking question after question, which can feel like an interrogation, you share a little bit about yourself and then hand the conversation back to them with a question. For example, "Let's go back to the coffee shop and the dog-themed tote bag." They reply, "Thanks. Yes, I have a golden retriever named Max." Instead of immediately asking another question, you can say, "That's awesome. I grew up with a retriever. They have so much energy. What's the most mischievous thing Max has ever done?" You've shared a small personal connection, the statement, and then asked an engaging, open-ended question. This creates a balanced give-and-take dynamic. It feels like a real exchange, not an interview. Now let's address a common fear. What if I have nothing in common with them? This is where your curiosity mindset is your superpower. You don't need to be an expert in field to have a great conversation. In fact, it's often better if you're not. You get to be the student. Let's say you're a graphic designer talking to an astrophysicist. You might feel intimidated, but instead, you can lean into your ignorance. Say something like, "Wow, astrophysics. That sounds incredibly complex. Can you explain what you do in a way a complete beginner like me could understand?" People are often passionate about their work or hobbies and are happy to share, especially with someone who shows a genuine desire to learn. Your job isn't to match their expertise, it's to provide them with an enthusiastic audience. Ask them about the biggest misconceptions in their field or what the most exciting new discovery is. Be a blank slate and let them paint a picture for you. So, you've opened the conversation, you've asked great open-ended questions, and you've found a good rhythm. The final piece of the puzzle is active listening. This sounds simple, but it's something many of us fail at. We are often just waiting for our turn to talk. Active listening means you're fully present. You're not thinking about your next question or what you're having for dinner. You are hearing their words, paying attention to their tone of voice and body language. A great way to show you are actively listening is to paraphrase or reflect back what they've said. For example, if they just told you a long story about a challenging project at work, you could say, "So it sounds like you had to manage a lot of different personalities to get that project over the finish line. That must have been really stressful." This does two things. It confirms you understood them correctly, and it makes them feel truly heard and validated. It's one of the most powerful tools for building a deep connection quickly. And don't forget nonverbal cues. Nodding, making eye contact, and angling your body towards them all signal that you're engaged. A simple "aha," "wow," or "that's interesting" at the right moments shows you're following along. These small signals make a huge difference in how the other person feels during the conversation. They'll feel more comfortable and be more willing to share. Finally, knowing how to gracefully exit a conversation is just as important as knowing how to start one. You don't want to just vanish. If you need to leave, make the exit positive. You can reference something you talked about. For instance, "Well, it was so great talking to you about your astrophysics work. I'm going to go look up that documentary you mentioned. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference." Or a simpler version, "I've really enjoyed our chat, but I need to go find my friend. It was a pleasure meeting you, Sarah." Mentioning their name is a nice touch if you remember it. A warm, clear exit leaves a positive final impression and opens the door for future interactions. So, to recap the key steps, first, shift your mindset to being interested, not interesting. Second, use your shared context for a simple, observant opener. Third, ask open-ended questions to invite stories, not just answers. Fourth, use statement-question combos for a balanced flow. Fifth, practice active listening to make the other person feel truly heard. And sixth, have a plan for a graceful exit. This isn't about memorizing scripts. It's about having a framework and a set of tools. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Start small. Try it with the barista at your coffee shop, then at a low-stakes social gathering. Each small success will build your confidence. You'll find that almost everyone is just waiting for someone friendly and curious to come along. You can be that person. And that's it. A complete guide to having a conversation with anyone. If you found these tips helpful, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And for more content on communication, confidence, and personal growth, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. What's your biggest struggle when it comes to conversation? Or do you have a go-to tip that always works for you? Share it below. Let's learn from each other. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.